I mean, there wasn't much of a walk in the past, but I just want to say thank you to him and everything. And I'm a horrible storyteller, so I got it all written out here. So I may not be making the most eye contact, but I'll be looking down here, telling you guys what's up, telling you guys my story. So I just want to start with a question that you guys don't really have to answer, but I guess who knows what it's like to doubt and like not be able to count on something? You know, I do. Well, I want to paint that picture for you in this time that I have. In a foreword, and I guess in opposition to this doubt, was my mother's always been my guidance and my father's always been my provider. I know that when I really can't count on life, they're always my true norths. And so here we go. So I was born October 3rd, 20 years ago, so 2 days ago. I was baptized shortly after that time as an infant, accepting Christ as my Lord and Savior before I could even really accept my parents as my parents. Through my childhood years, I would come to realize that I never took that faith any further than what was given to me. I really just believed it because it was what mom and dad said so. As I got a little older, I started asking questions. I found myself in a state of spiritual curiosity, and honestly, I use that phrase loosely because it leaned more on the side of doubt. But I found a lot of success through my schoolwork, my friends and family, and especially my gymnastics. And during these 4 years of high school, I had everything I could have asked for. I didn't really need God. I didn't need help. I was scared of what that meant, being isolated from the possibility of a God. I was scared of how I would be perceived if people saw me as like this faithless guy. So I kept the title. Everyone still heard me claim to be a Christian, but as you probably already understand, standing outside claiming to be a car or reading the manual doesn't make you a car. So if it helps the imagery, I couldn't have recited a verse out of the Bible if I wanted to. So. But then I found myself being dropped off here at OSU and my parents leaving me to start this next chapter. And keep in mind, up to this point, everything's fine. You know, I got a 4-eyed scholarship. I just got a new girlfriend and stuff, and things were looking up for me. But I remember the night that my parents dropped me off here at OSU, I went out to a party with my teammates, and I guess you guys can assume how that probably looked. I'll let you paint your own picture. But I remember vividly walking home that night by myself, and it was hard. Something just wasn't feeling right. You know, I went out. It was just a new culture. I didn't know what to expect, but you know, I didn't think too much more about it. And I guess as the months went by, my teammates back there will vouch for me. They really weren't pretty. You know I lost my motivation in the gym, and my schoolwork went down the drain, and my relationship back home that I tried to keep a firm grip on really managed to slip somehow. And I was just an enemy of this place, and both mentally and physically. I couldn't rationalize why I was here, and I had a harder time trying to justify the time I spent my days that were passing me up really just unused. I just wanted to feel like my old self again in this new place, and so I reached for like self-discovery books. I kept watching YouTube video after YouTube video about happiness and just trying to figure out how to become like, you know, content in this new place. And you know, I tried everything. So every chance I got, I ran home, and I could just try and relive those days before I had gotten here. And so as all this struggle kind of came about, so did like insomnia. And insomnia, as that increased, you know, the questions I had really rise too. And I slept, but I never really rested for about a year, you know, and I found myself pretty exhausted from the shadow I'd been living in, and I don't think I even had the energy to find God. You know, he was always there, but I questioned myself, like, if this man in the sky was real, you know, why has he left me here like this? Why has he let this happen to me? And I was given every opportunity to just trust that builder, and I went on to abuse every one of them. It seemed like I had all the right questions, but never any answers, and I had never envied the state of childhood where you don't doubt what your mom and dad say so much up until this point. So, but I'm gonna be honest with you here with you guys, because you know I'm here right now. As my mental state had gotten worse, I found myself the furthest from God, and I didn't really see any worth in being here. And I don't mean here like OSU. Like, I didn't find a worth in like living, you know, day to day. I don't know if any of y'all struggle with that, but yeah, that's rough. And the idle mind in a college dorm became really just my worst enemy. And but here's why I paint the picture of the message I'm trying to get across. So I walk into my dorm room a couple weeks right before Big Ten and NCAAs, and I see a little cloth pouch kind of thing, and it's in the middle of my study room. I think my buddy over there, Alec, will vouch for me. I remember telling him about it and stuff, but that's what it's up there. That's what I find inside, and that's the first seed that I'm coming to realize was kind of planted in my life. But Mama had given that to me the day that she left me here at OSU, and I hadn't seen it since I threw it in my sock drawer that night. So, but I go to practice the next day, and I sit down at our team Bible study after practice with Carl. It was pretty funny. I can still remember like the looks on their faces because I hadn't sat anywhere like near that table for the entire year. So yeah, that was pretty funny. But I just remember listening to anything and everything they had to say. You know, I didn't care what was coming out of their mouth. I needed to hear it. And this is where the next seed was planted if Carl hadn't already been one. He gives me a sheet of paper including Romans 1:21 on it, and I started really thinking, you know, that really sounds familiar. Y'all go ahead and read that a little bit if y'all want to. But so our team went on to win Big Tens, and then we got third at NCAAs, and I was headed back home to spend the summer back in Texas, and I spent time with my girl. I became a full patch member with some of my buddies in a motorcycle club that we had worked with and stuff, and I really just lived life how I used to. And as the time approached quickly where I would have to leave home and come back to the place where I'd spent so much time the way that I did, I became a little bit more lost again. I kind of lost my way, and I just remember my dad seeing that hesitation. He sat me aside and basically told me, you know, get your ass outside, like we're gonna have like a little therapy session. And I had never had one of those, you know. And long story short, he just told me, you know, I'd lost my way and I needed to get my act together and stuff. So after that therapy session, you know, I was angry because I was really scared, you know. And something that talk got to me though. It was probably the most intimidating man I've ever seen walk this earth, you know, crying, but it got to me. And so I got back on the flight to Columbus with the goal to do things differently. So I make it back to Ohio, and the whole team was bright, you know. The whole team was excited to see me after I spent so much time treating them the way that I had last year. And maybe it was what I needed to get back on track, you know, a new beginning with them. So I became close friends with two specific guys on the team, Seth Delbridge and Chris Coombs back there, and we just kind of did everything together. So one day we decided to go cliff jumping at the rock quarry in Marion, Ohio. And I remember we were jumping off these little baby ones, you know, about the size of like this ceiling or something, and I wanted to go do the big one, so I was like, all right guys, let's go do the big one. They were like, no, like let's stay on this one for a little bit. I said, no, let's go. So they follow kind of behind, and as we're walking, I really want to try and like emphasize all this. We're walking, and try to imagine hearing yelling out in the water about 300 feet out, and it's someone yelling, you know, help, you know, we're drowning and stuff. And you know, I'm a gymnast. I weigh 140 pounds. I'm not buoyant. You know, I can't swim. I gas out of it at swim in about 30 seconds. You know, so they're out at a good like four minutes out. You know, something like that. So, you know, we start swimming. You know, before we even thought about it, they were behind me, and I was just swimming as hard as my little arms could like take me out there. And I remember getting to them, and they started screaming, you know, help me. And their first instinct is they start dunking me under, and it was bad. And so we got to them, and I'm gonna stop and really just be real with y'all for a second. There's a moment in that time where I realized that in the middle of the lack of energy I had myself and the other kid pushing me down, I had the biggest and closest opportunity to allow myself to give in, to crumble in like my confusion in life and all the struggles mentioned earlier. And I chose life. You know, I chose in that moment of helplessness, really just surrounded by helplessness, like a sense of hope. And I just fought, you know, him and us three, we got the two guys like back to shore and everything. But I'm a strong believer that day and all the things included in this story brought me to the place I am right now. I see now that if I hadn't been in the mindset that I had accumulated over that year, I may have not had the urge to jump in the water with my buddies. And I probably wouldn't have accumulated those two friends that wanted to go cliff jumping with me. I may have not even been there. I didn't see in the moment last year that this was all a build-up for God to use me in His perfect timing. I had to be in that bad place to allow what happened in the water to help me turn around, you know, and I guess hindsight's 20/20. But so I started giving my life over to the builder and the man in charge. But now I recall that faith that I had that was once so small, so irrelevant, so insignificant. And I remember what my God told me, you know, faith the size of mustard seeds can rearrange landscapes and move mountains. And if anyone's in a place of doubt here, I just want you to think about something. Don't ever think about this as blind faith. You know, just remember the blind men who had faith. I've spent a lot of time in that shadow of doubt, but my life's for Jesus now and for His purpose and for me. So I just want to say, you know, thanks for having me here, guys.